What's good, everybody? This is another one-off episode of the Established 1982 podcast, the Geek Culture Podcast, hosted by responsibly irresponsible adults that have loved video games, comic books, movies, and TV ever since 1982. And I'm going solo dolo. It's your boy Wally, Analog. I'm going solo dolo as to not be burdened by civility and order. Now, my man, he's not a burden. I just feel like ranting uninhibited, as it were. Man, I'm just gonna say this real quick. I'm gonna launch into what is an apology for my previous view on Christopher Nolan's third installment of his trilogy, Batman trilogy, Dark Knight Rises. Some years ago when that came out, I wasn't happy with it and didn't have very many nice things to say about it. But as they say, after the challenge flag has been thrown, after further review, bruh, that movie's dope, man. That movie is dope. My initial complaints were that there was a lot of, well, I won't say a lot. There was more villain than Batman. A lot of Bane, not a lot of Batman. As you know, Batman went out early. Batman, got faded by Bane. So the story was focused on the fall of Batman and Bruce Wayne, actually. Two fallen entities in one. And of course, as the name suggests, the rise at the end. So a lot of focus on the antagonist, which was actually no different from the movie that many regarded as a masterpiece and was Oscar worthy as far as the acting was concerned by one Heath Ledger. Joker made that movie, and in my mind, the motive, the reasons behind Bane's actions, and his character, personality, albeit different from what we've become familiar with in the comics, was excellent. I didn't mind. The redefinition of Bane is what I had a little bit of an issue with. But man, in retrospect, when I think about what he is in the comics, it's a little ridiculous. And Christopher Nolan is all about making things as close to reality as possible. And the dialogue and the script itself is second to none. The motivation for Bane to do what he was doing, calculated. Bane is a buffoon in the comics. I appreciate now the fact that he was very cerebral, calculating, a chess player, as it were. It's similar to the Joker. And even before that, in Batman Begins, Dr. Crane. So there was a method to Christopher Nolan's madness. These three enemies, and I'm spanning all three of the movies now, were realistic, more frightening versions of their kind of ridiculous, silly counterparts in the comics. Very compelling. And, you wouldn't expect anything less from Christopher Nolan. These movies, I'm just here to issue an apology. And For those of you that may have had a problem with The Dark Knight Rises, please go back and watch it again. And try to get into the dialogue itself and some of the things that are said and things of that nature, and appreciate it for, I guess, something other than what we typically prefer our superhero movies to be. Here's an unpopular opinion for you. Don't at me, but this trilogy is better than anything that's been written in the MCU. You can fight me on that. Christopher Nolan is a literary genius, and no, he's had his issues. Like that Tenet was a little too much for me, and it was ambitious to be sure, and a bit convoluted. But you can't knock the dude's ambition. You can't knock the dude's desire to give people more than just action for action's sake. And that's what I feel The Dark Knight Rises provided. Every character in there had a purpose. You didn't have an antagonist in there for the sake of just having members of the Rogues Gallery in there. You know, the MCU is notorious for just throwing people, I won't even say just the MCU, just, you know, Marvel movies, whether they're in the MCU or not, particularly Spider-Man movies, they'll just throw enemies in there for the hell of it because we want to make sure they're all represented, but with no purpose. Everybody was purposeful in all of the Batman movies that Nolan did. And while I'm talking about The Dark Knight Rises, we can go back to Scarecrow and Falcone and of course the Joker held the whole. Oh, there's Two-Face was in there too. So I mean, they managed to incorporate multiple enemies and done well. They didn't feel forced. Their scripts were perfect. Their origin stories immaculately done. You can't say that for the Joker because he's never really had an origin story up until recently with the Joker, the R-rated movie that came out a little while ago. But even then, we're not even certain that that's the Joker that we've all come to know and love in the comics. But either way, everybody, again, just to reiterate, everybody was purposeful. Bane was extremely purposeful. A guy who was just a champion for the people, as it were, sympathizing for the have-nots. And that's been a popular theme because that's what we can relate to. You know, you, me, and the average person, you know, we're not sitting in our ivory towers and, you know, swimming in our money like Scrooge McDuck. You know, we just out here trying to make it day to day. Regular working dudes, women. And so you kind of sympathize for the working class. And I think that's a good take. I think it's a good take. And especially considering that Batman / Bruce Wayne is not one of them dudes. And to bring him to a point to where now he has to understand what it means to have nothing. He's got to rise from that as well, his financial ruin, and as well as having to rise from his physical ruin. Man, it was dope, man. I'm officially announcing my apology for my negative perspective and comments directed at what I now regard as a stellar movie from Christopher Nolan. Now, I would have loved to have the gatekeeper of civility and order to join me on this, and maybe we will. Maybe we will get together and rehash this. But I feel like if we were to have a conversation, he might agree with some of the things I'm saying, as he is one who I like to refer to as the purveyor of positive. So maybe we'll bounce some ideas and hopefully we can get that to the public as soon as possible. But look here, like I said, this was just a quick little apology, little one-off from the established 1982. I'm by myself. I don't really know how well I can hold a show by myself. So I'm not going to be naive enough to believe that I can. So with that being said, man, just give me your thoughts. Let us know. You can hit us on patreon.com/EST1982 podcast if you want to, give us some feedback, or if you would like to subscribe and become a patron and contribute financially as well as with your time. But if not, Facebook, Instagram, EST1982 podcast is the tag out there. The Facebook group is a good place to interact with us and let us know what you think. So whenever you can, just do so. Let us know what you think. And man, until next time, man, I'll holler at you.